All right. Is it working? Can you guys hear me? Does my microphone work? Hmm. Cool. What's up? Connection unstable. Okay. Trying to reconnect. Sorry, y'all. Let me close some windows. Okay. We're live. What's up? Thanks for listening. Who's a female vocalist? That's Hannah Cohen, my partner in crime and person I live with, an amazing musician and co-dog owner. And this is Jan Bronwyn. Say hi, Jan. She just went on a long walk and she's very tired. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday morning to dig the new jams. It's kind of funny. It's like a one-way conversation. I wish all of you were also on video chat. But if you have any questions or something. Oh, hi, Lindsay. Okay, the process for the new album. Well, the new album was made basically in my studio by myself, like most musicians were this year. And there were some crucial overdubs that I had friends jump in on, like that bass playing on that last track that you heard was Cameron Ralston. He's an amazing bass player from Virginia. He plays with the Space Bomb guys in that studio, and he's a wonderful player. How did you get those drum sounds? Oh, that was my friend Austin Vaughn, who plays on all my recordings. And mainly with drum sounds, it's just all about how they hit the drums, and you can record it with an iPhone if they're playing the drums well and tuning the drums well. But I prefer like 3 or 4 microphones, keeping it really simple so you don't have like phasing issues, and just, simple and tight drum sounds all day, and some nice preamps. How do you navigate writing on topics that are sensitive or on the nose? Yeah, I just watched this documentary that everyone should watch, Summer of Soul, that Questlove produced, and it's just amazing to watch the whole thing. It's crazy concert footage from Harlem in '69, but there was a Nina Simone quote that stuck out to me that was just like, how can you be an artist and not reflect the times? So yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm kind of over trying to appear. I mean, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm just going to write about whatever comes into my head. And I'm not going to be embarrassed about being upfront about things that I feel strongly about. Favorite part of the music video, watching my friend Keenan just be an amazing actor. He's also a wonderful musician. Keenan O'Meara, check him out on the webs. But I'm telling you, he's got an acting career ahead of him, I think. And working with Josh, who's just a great friend and super talented cameraman, cinematographer, photographer, all of that. Will there be more of this on the album? More political, social commentary? Yes, definitely. The whole album is kind of packed full of political and social commentary. Let's see. Is that your Merc in the video? It's Hannah's dad's Mercedes. He perma-loaned it to us, and we've been cruising around in it this summer. It's a 1980 240D. It's slow, but it's a cruiser. It's like a big floating couch. Favorite memory from touring with Deerhoof? Wow, yeah. Playing in a basement in Syracuse uh, at a college show, and Deerhoof I booked the show, and Deerhoof was like, "Okay, we'll open for you guys," and they used all of our gear and just turned every set. Ed, the guitarist, turned every knob on my amplifier up to 10, and just blew everyone's faces off. It was so incredible. There's a video somewhere of that. It's wow. Deerhoof is an amazing band. Keenan looks like Jesse Plemons. Yeah, Keenan's amazing. I'm excited for his IMDb. Favorite story with Cass? Ooh, yeah. Cass is also amazing to tour with. We played the Fillmore together. That was super cool. We played the last show at Las Vegas Beauty Bar together, and they closed it down as we were loading out, and they paid us in cash during load in because they were like, we might get shut down tonight, so here's your cash. And it was just like Vegas and really crazy, and there's some like, yeah, just Vegas like Fear and Loathing style shit that went down that I'm not going to talk about. Cass is an enigma, and he's one of my favorite musicians in the world. What was it like recording the strings? That was my friend Oliver Hill, who's an amazing musician and songwriter and violinist. He plays viola too. He just came over and we just knocked it out like overdub style. We kind of like hummed melodies at each other until we found something that fit and put it down. So it was really easy. How much of Liam Kazar's album was developed in studio? Was it just demos that were fleshed out, or were they ready to mix? So I just did the mixes on Liam's stuff, and I played a little saxophone on one of the songs and some things here and there. But he has a home studio also, and the tracks came preloaded with tons of vibe. I just got to do the fun part of just mixing them, which was awesome. I love that record. At what point in the music did the lyrics emerge? Kind of a parallel with just the song, like the guitar chords. I always just start with a drum machine and like either a bass or a guitar. And I find if I put the music down and wait to do lyrics, it just becomes impossible. So I try to knock them out at the same time. On this one I did. On others I've not done that and suffered through trying to make lyrics fit like later on. Let's see. Thanks for your music, good inspiration. Oh, thank you. More breakdown. I will definitely do a breakdown for this because I love all the little things that are going on in this tune. Kind of synths do you have? I don't have a ton of synths. I have a Prophet Rev 2, which is a real workhorse and gets a lot done, and it can go so many different places, and it's modern and easy to work with, and I really love that instrument. And then I have a DX7 and a couple old funky things, but yeah, that's about it. I need to beef up my synth collection, but those things are pricey, man. What should I practice on guitar? My right hand technique. It's it doesn't really matter what you're doing on this. Like as long as you put the notes in the right place and do it with conviction, that's people get lost in like playing lines and getting the right notes, but it's really all about the right hand. Oh, hi Julian. What's up, man? Good to see you. Is Brisbane on the record? Brisbane is not on this record. I love Brisbane, but he was just in the city and I was up here, so I did the guitar work on this record. But Brisbane just put out his own solo record, and I recommend checking it out. It's beautiful. I think it's on Bandcamp. Any special acoustic treatments for next phase of studio build? Just gonna keep it open and use gobos. Nothing too fancy. It's a barn, so I want to keep it that way. Mm. Um, I don't like overbuilding studio spaces. It gets kind of bulky, and yeah, I mean, in cities maybe it's worth it to keep sound out or keep sound in, but up here it doesn't really matter. Um, do you find your writing and recording setting out in nature is influencing your sound? Yeah, totally. Or just I didn't make like a acoustic cabin record, but um, I made like kind of the opposite of that. But it's just been great to be able to like play drums at 2 in the morning if I want to. I never got to do that in the city. I was always aware that someone might be listening, and up here it's just not the case. So that's really liberating. Let's see, Andy Schaff on the record. No, but he did actually help me. I should credit him actually, because he listened to this song and he was like, he helped me. He was just like, maybe you should try like ducking out a couple of those horn hits, because I had like done a pass of the horns and they were all, I don't know, there were just a couple that were kind of like poking into the vocal space, and he was like, maybe duck those out. So he listened and he gave me some great feedback. Andy's amazing. What is your mixing board? It's a Wheatstone broadcast console, SP48, from a radio station in North Carolina. My dad actually is a sales engineer for Wheatstone, and he was like, hey, they're taking this board out, and you can have it if you want. So yeah, it's like from the 80s, but you can find them on eBay for cheap. They're great. Sam Evian, Andy Schaff tour would fulfill all needs. Yeah, we'll do something together, I'm sure. I love Andy. From Malaysia, experience working with Kazu. Oh, Kazu is just so special and so talented and so packed full of really amazing ideas melodically and lyrically and harmonically. She's so cool and a real artist. Like, truly doesn't care about trying to fit into any type of mold, and really only is into it for like to get her rocks off and to, you know, to make art. So she was hugely inspiring to work with. So I didn't produce the Blonde Redhead record, but I actually might have some production credit on it. Actually, I think I do, but it started as a mixing project, and then it kind of like morphed into a mixing / oh, we need to track some more stuff, and can you play synths on this and bass, and but they're I mean, Misery is a Butterfly was one of my favorite records, and they're so good. They're so fun to work with. They're classic. I love them. Favorite song on the album, and what about said song makes it your favorite? I don't know. I think the first cut on the record I really favor, and it just kind of like encapsulates a sound that I was really going for, and it's kind of why I put it up top. And gotta wait to hear that one. But also the next single is one of my faves. They're bubbly guitar parts that might weird some people out, but I like them a lot. Secret updates on a new Hannah record. Yes, she's got some amazing songs in the can, and we recorded about half of them, so there's more coming. Telly or Les Paul? Probably Les Paul. I'm in my 30s now, and it just feels right. But Cass McCombs vibe, always. I mean, Cass is a constant influence. Any tips on knowing when to call a mix done? Yeah, like after your second revision, futzing over a mix it just gets boring after a while, and then you start like second guessing yourself. And I think you just do a pass, give yourself a revision, listen to it in the car. If the bass is too loud, turn it down. How do you maintain your facial hair? I just can't grow it further than this. That's as far as it goes. I just use a little. That's a cute question. How are the strings on Knock Knock written and recorded? Just in the room together, singing melodies. together, and then overdubbing violin and viola like 8 times over or something, and panning them. Really simple. Oliver Hill is totally a genius. Brazilian influence, yeah, a ton. Hannah got me into. Well, I'd always like checked out Caetano's music and loved it, and especially that self-titled record. But Hannah has been. She's got a deep Brazilian vibe. So like in terms of her listening, so we've just she showed me Marcos Valle. We went to Light in the Attic and bought Previsão do Tempo, or however you pronounce it, and for like $20. And now, of course, on Discogs it's like 200 or something because they're out of those pressings. But connection unstable. I don't know. I think I'm live. I can't tell. Anyway, yeah, Marcos Valle, Chico Buarque, Gal Gadot, Gil Scott Heron. Yeah, so many. We just dig them all day. Caetano, of course. What keyboards did you use on Knock Knock? Fender Rhodes. And that was Jake Sherman playing Fender Rhodes. Connection stable. Thanks, Lindsay. How do you approach writing your songs? I like to get like a rhythm section feel going. So the easiest way to do that is just to like play bass and with a drum machine. And I use a Rhythm King Mark II. And that usually kind of like gives me enough to like feel like I can write over it. And so it's usually just a, bass, drums, rhythm guitar, and a vocal that I put in, and then I just build it out from there. You're live, just lags. Thanks. Okay. Did Oliver do strings on the last album? He did. He did strings on Next to You, and so don't fix it if it ain't broke, as they say. If you could assign a scent to this record, what would it be? The river here, the stream that goes around my house has a very particular air. And it's like constantly percolating and putting these cool ions into the air. And it's just like a coolness that comes with the water. And so it's more of the smell is just like fresh water coming off of a mountain. So that would be the smell of this record. Yeah. I like that question. I believe smell-o-vision is on its way. I can't believe it's not here already. But sooner or later. First song you wrote on the new record. First song was a song called Never Know, and it's actually the only song that I wrote like in the before times. And I got to play it live on the last tour we did, and it was so fun. And I was like, this is kind of working. So, and the last one was another song. It's called, which one was it? Yeah, I think it was one of the ones on side B, maybe 999. That was, you'll see it on the track list. Did you work with Tennis? No, I didn't, but they do seem lovely. Totally. How did you build out the parts on I Remember? There's so many interesting sounds and layers. Oh, that's so cool. I love that song. I did that with Chris Cohen, another huge inspiration, and we just kind of did it in his garage studio in LA. And I think I played bass and he played drums, and then he did some guitar and I did some guitar, and then we just kind of started adding things that felt cool. It was really pretty simple process. How did the awesome ice sculpture with Topo happen? That was a huge. My Lindsay Walter, my manager, she had this amazing idea and she totally made it happen, and it was really inspiring to see her work. And Topo was like, "Sure, we'll build an ice sculpture," and so Lindsay made that happen, and it was badass. I love it. How did you build up? Let's see. More about the studio that I'm building. Yes. So phase one of what I'm doing up here is I record in this house, and I have artists come up here and stay, and we record just in the house, and we live in the house, and it's like a glorified home studio. I turned a bedroom into a control room with a console and all that, but I have this barn outside, and the idea has been, to turn the barn into a real, more of a real studio. So finally poured concrete into the barn foundation because it was just gravel. And yeah, it's just like slowly saving up money and trying to make it work. But we're getting there slowly but surely. And I'm glad that I had a chance to kind of like test it out up here in the house and make sure that people were indeed interested in coming up here to the country to record. Our proximity to the city is probably really helpful for that. But how much were you involved in the videos directing? Zero. I just acted or did my best. But that's all Josh Goldman. He's got such an amazing eye, and he comes from a photography world, so I think you can just, there's so many amazing stills that you could grab, like the way he frames his shots, especially with Keenan. It's just really, really badass. Oh, quick impromptu show. I remember that in California. That was an amazing show. I want to go back there. Thanks for being here. What label are you signed with right now? Fat Possum Records. They're the best. Fat Possum. I'm really psyched to be working with them on this record. How do you like the Catskill music scene? And have you ever tapped into Western Mass, Northampton? Yeah, I mean, it's tough because of the pandemic, but there are so many musicians up here, and a lot of them live near me. So it's been so cool to be able to just call people to come play on a session, or and they live like 20 minutes away or something. And the Kingston is the bigger town near me, and a lot of musicians are moving up there from Brooklyn because it's easier to get space. But of course, there's a housing crisis now because anyone with money from the city came up and bought property, and it's kind of messy. So I hope that cools off. But it's amazing up here, and yeah, Northwest Mass, like totally. I'm not so involved in the scene, but I think I'm going to announce a show in Western Mass later today. So keep your eyes peeled. I know the pedigree of that scene, and I know there's a lot of music from there and a lot of people living out there. So let's see. Bass really cuts through in the song. DI. It was DI. My friend Cameron. I put in a bass part and sent it to him, and then he just did it better and with more, like, he's a total virtuosic, like Jamerson style player. So, oh wow, yeah, and he came up with some really cool stuff, and his feel is deep. But I'm pretty sure he did DI, and he might have used like one of those Moog filter pedals, but I'm not exactly sure. But I rarely use bass amps. I just, maybe I'm lazy. But did you really rest upon the dawn? Felt like you were in paradise. Yes, I did. Peach nectarine water. That's kind of looking out this window. There's a mountain out there you can't really see, but I'm very lucky to be here. Favorite song ever written? It's hard to say. I tend to, it's hard for me to have a favorite thing of my own. I like other people's stuff. What's it like working with Big Thief? They're so amazing. I mean, they're deep humans and sweet people, and they stayed here for a month last summer working on a record, and they're just like the greatest hang. They love cooking. They love being human and running around and playing soccer, and like they're not in their heads, and they're super just down to earth people, and they're really sweet. So I love them. I think you'll hear something from that session very soon. Have you always felt comfortable with your singing voice? No, not at all. I was afraid to sing for the longest time. I still don't really feel comfortable with my singing voice. I need to take some lessons, but I have a quiet voice, and I couldn't even scream if I wanted to. I don't even know what that would sound like. So it took me a long time. I played the saxophone until I was like 21, and then I finally started playing guitar and singing. And I think having like a melody instrument be the way I learned music was informative for singing, but I never really learned singing technique, and I think I still struggle with that. But thank you for saying that it's cool. Vague plans to come back to Europe. Show in Hamburg, yay! Actually, Austin did. Austin is inspiring. He's a very inspiring drummer. Yeah, we're going to be back in Europe as soon as it's safe and possible. I know that they're working on putting dates together. So we'll definitely be there. I love touring in Europe because everything, well, the audiences are so sweet and it's so easy to get from town to town. 4-hour drives, unlike here. Did you hit any creative blocks when making this album? Yeah, I mean, the pandemic was like, it was weird. It was nice that I had already set up a framework because like I had already decided I was going to start working on a record, and I had already like fleshed out some demos. So by the time the pandemic hit, I had like something to lean on. I think if I hadn't started anything, I would have probably sunk into it. Would have had a hard time like starting something. But the since it had already technically been started, I had like a friend. You know, the record became like a companion for all of that 2020 stuff, and a lot of that made it into the record. So yeah, but certainly roadblocks and periods of whatever, being depressed or not feeling creative. I try to do a song a day if I'm feeling like super stagnant, and that's like just you have to accept that you can like make something bad. And oh, Phil's here. Phil leads the Song a Day. That it's like a group that I got involved in February, and like for me, it's just about doing something every day and accepting that you're gonna write a bad song and being okay with that. And it's really once you get to that place, it opens a lot of stuff up for you. Any procrastination overcoming tips? Don't watch TV. API or Neve? Neve, API, I like them both. Probably Neve. I don't know. They're both beautiful things. I've made good records on both. How has living in such a natural space impacted your music? I think I got into that earlier, but yeah, just like having headroom literally to like make sound at all times and to go outside and breathe fresh air and have light come into my studio and not be in a basement in New York or something. It's just hugely impactful. How has living in, let's see. Hi, Phil. What's your go-to delay for lead vocals? I used a lot of my big Memory Man pedal actually on this record. I know you'll appreciate that, Phil. And Space Echo 201, and new idea plugins, certainly. But the Memory Man has been super, super cool. The old one. Featured on any artist's album in the world, which artist would you pick? Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock? Herbie Hancock? Wayne Shorter. I don't know, one of those. How do you like your monitor mix when you perform? It took me a while to learn this, but keeping the stage volume down, I just ask for a little vocal. We try to set up like close to each other so we don't have to ask for a lot of things. I hate asking for guitar on the monitor because it just doesn't feel natural. So yeah, usually just vocal and try to play to the room. New live room at Flying Cloud looks amazing. Thank you. Let's see. When are you coming to Chile? Ah, please take me there. That would be so cool. I'll be there as soon as possible. What do you think about those bad songs? Just keeping them somewhere? Oh yeah, got a folder of bad songs. You never know when they come in handy, because maybe there's one redeemable quality, like a bass line or a cool guitar sound or something. Hi, Jan. Jan's bored with me now. She's given up. Jan, come here. Let's see. What can we expect punchy bass lines on this record? Definitely punchy bass lines. Any non-music influences for this album? Yeah. Let's see. The last book series I was kind of getting back into was like Cormac McCarthy, The Road. And the Border trilogy. I watch a lot of Criterion Channel. I don't know. I watch a lot of movies, and I think they work their way in. How much effects and embellishment? How much of that is something you have to work through? And how much of that comes out in the moment? It's usually something I just throw up, and if I like it, I keep it. I don't get too obsessive. I have like a couple things that I like to start with, and then like with vocal delays, it's either like a pedal or a tape echo or like an actual reel-to-reel tape. That on You Forever was a lot of just slapback from an Ampex machine when I was mixing the record. But yeah, just what I usually I'm kind of lazy in the engineering sense, because if something isn't working, I just immediately can it and move on to whatever sounds cool. I don't really get too I don't spend too much time on something if it doesn't immediately appeal to me. You hear that All Things Must Pass 50th anniversary. Yes, hugely cool. George, man. How did the mailing list recipe happen? That's another management call, man. They are super creative, and they're just like shout out to them. And I think, and the label probably, I think it was a label management collaboration there, but they're trying to keep it fresh, and it's really cool to work with people who do that. They're not jaded, which is awesome. They're like, yeah, put out a recipe card. Are you looking for artists to work with in 2022? Sure, send me an email. Can we expect a best of bad songs? Definitely not. Do you have a plate reverb? I do have a plate reverb. It's a homemade one. It's like, I can show it to you. Studio's a mess because I just had someone in here. Courtney Marie Andrews is here all week, and we just finished her record. But I'll show you my. This is my plate reverb. It's actually really small, and I use it actually just like as a microphone. A lot of the times I set it up really close to the drums, so that it's microphonic and it reacts, and it has 2 contact mics on it, and it sounds really cool. Plate, and you can build one of those for like $300. I bought it off of Craigslist from somebody. Worth getting into because it's unpredictable and fine in plugins. Fuzzhead, weird, and that is hard to find in plugins. Fuzzhead, yeah. I use that Analog Man Sunface. I really like it. It's got like the star function, and it's got like the classic fuzz circuit that Jimi Hendrix used or whatever. But I also like broken fuzz and like preamp fuzz and just like broken amp fuzz. I don't know, just fuzz it out however you can, How did you get into producing? I started, I got into recording because I wanted to record myself and my band in college. And then I got an internship where I lied about being able to use Pro Tools, and they let me run a studio in LA. And yeah, that was cool. And I learned a lot there. And then I moved to New York and got a job building studios, or like working for a guy who built studios. So we did a lot of back end stuff. And then I worked as a sound designer for like an advertising company, and that was super soul sucking, but I learned Pro Tools like really well. And then I got a job. I helped put together this studio in Brooklyn, which became like my actual home and where I found my community. And that was called Figure Eight. And I was just doing a lot of like day in, day out house engineer stuff, like for whatever sessions would come through the door. And slowly started like people started trusting me to work on their records in more of a production capacity. And yeah, it took about 10 years, but here we are. Love from Cleveland, City of Light. Do you like that dry 70s drum sounds? Yes. How much time, money goes into recording an album? For me, I mean, that's why I got into recording, because I didn't have the dough to pay someone else to do it. So I just figured I should learn how to do it myself. I mean, it can be an important investment to make if you want to get into a studio. I really recommend doing it and saving up some money and doing it, or saving up some money and learning how to do it yourself. Either way, it's going to be an investment of time, energy, money, however you want to cut it. And obviously, it helps to have like to get into a world where you're working with a label and you can collaborate, and maybe they can give you a budget, but like no one starts out that way, and you start out just doing it on the cheap and using GarageBand or a cassette machine or whatever. So don't feel limited by not having money to spend on a record. That's what I would say. Where'd you buy that cool blue suit? Oh man, the cool blue suit was, I'll pull up her website. So Amber Doyle made that cool blue suit, and she custom made it for me. And her website is just amberdoyle.com, DOYLE. And she's amazing. And that suit wears me, man. It feels so cool. I've never had such a cool piece of fit. How do you feel about double tracking vocal a la John Lennon? Do you think it's worth avoiding sometimes? Yeah, double tracking is my weakness, and I love doing it, and I do it all the time. And at times I've like tried to stay away from it. At times I've leaned into it. I guess it's good to do both things, keep it fresh. I try not to do it on every song, but I do for the same reasons that John liked it. I like it, if John famously didn't like his own voice, and I kind of am in that camp also, and it makes your voice sound different. So it's kind of cool for your ego, I guess. But it's a sound, and people have been doing it for years. So, I mean, people are used to hearing it now, and it's a great production technique. So. Wisdom for letting a song be all the way done and not tweaking it endlessly. I mean, play it for your friends and play it on stage and see how it goes. And if you really feel like, this chorus needs some more bite to it, then add it. But I subscribe to first thought, best thought, and like I said before, I really don't like fussing over things too much. So yeah. Do you have a go-to synth that you use? I love my Prophet Rev 2. It's just like the workhorse in my little studio space. But I mean, everybody loves a Juno. Everybody loves, a Moog Mini. Everybody, there are some amazing synths out there to get into. But what are you listening to at the moment? Wow. Let's see. I've been digging into this another Brazilian record because I'm all about those Brazilian records right now, and his name is Arthur Verosai. And I don't know how to pronounce his name right, but it's his self-titled record we've been listening to a lot. It's got some cool band orchestration moments. Any word games that you like to use to kickstart lyrical ideas? It's always fun to do that thing with the run-ons, like where you connect sentences like walk the dog parking lot, whatever. You just keep connecting words and phrases. That's fun to keep it fresh, or just to like flip around in books, or read a book, or remember that language exists outside of your screen, or have a conversation with a friend, call someone on the phone instead of texting them, that kind of stuff. It's harder to do in reality. Excited for any upcoming TV or movies? I'm a big Dune fan, sci-fi fan, but I'm excited for Dune. I don't really like the whole remake phenomenon, but this one I feel like really never, of course, because the studio, you know, cut off Lynch and like the whole drama behind that, and I don't really like how the original was cast anyway. So I'm excited to see the new Dune. I think that'll be cool. Hopefully, we'll see. Cool. Well, did I get everything? I think I got a lot of things. Well, thank you guys for spending this time with me and listening to the musics. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I think I'm going to go outside and go for a walk. Peace. Thank you so much.